In the age of myth, when Earth was in its infancy and the air was thick with the presence of untold legends, two remarkable beings emerged, Otis and the Fialtes, the Aloadae twins. Born to Poseidon, god of the seas, and the mortal Iphimedia, they towered over others from the start, both literally and figuratively. Their birth was heralded by the rustling of the sea and the whispers of the wind, marking the advent of giants who were poised to change the course of history. The twins grew rapidly in strength and stature, becoming parallel forces of nature. They were unparalleled in size and power, the earth beneath them shuddering with every step. As they matured, so did their ambition, which swelled as immensely as their physiques. Admired by some, feared by many, and spoken of in hushed tones, Otis and Fialtes exuded a presence impossible to ignore. Their hubris grew quietly, fed by their desire to prove that even the gods themselves could be challenged by mere mortals of such legendary might. Their motivation was not simple vanity, but a profound sense of purpose, to prove their superiority over the divine. Legends spoke of creatures that could compel the gods to reconsider their supremacy, and the twins were determined to etch their names into those very annals. They believed that their unmatched power entitled them to a place amongst the gods, not as mere envoys, but as rulers of Olympus themselves. This audacity burned within them like an unquenchable flame, urging them to greater acts of defiance. Their plan was as audacious as it was ambitious: ascend to Olympus and overthrow the existing divine order to establish a new epoch under their reign. Their designs were grand, scheming to dismantle the current hierarchy and replace it with one conceived of their might and ambition. To achieve this monumental goal, they began by envisioning their campaign with great seriousness, surveying the lands of their birth for signs of celestial weaknesses that could be exploited. As creatures with feet firmly planted in the terrestrial realm, Otis and Fialtes gazed upon the earth with resolute intent. Their native land, an expanse dotted with mountains and valleys, resonated with the anticipation of what was to come. Under the clear skies of early spring, the earth lay spread before them, a canvas for their envisioned conquest. Each mountain seemed a stepping stone to their dream of reaching the heavens. With the twilight sun casting a golden hue over the landscapes, the twins stood atop a rocky cliff, their gaze fixed upon the distant silhouette of Olympus. The crisp air echoed with their booming voices as they proclaimed their intentions to ascend the sacred mountain. News of their declaration spread swiftly, rippling through the mortal world and up to the ears of Olympus. The audacity of their claim sent shivers down the spines of both men and gods, for it was a boldness not seen since the dawn of time. In the halls of Olympus, the proclamation of the Aloadae reached the ears of Zeus, the king of gods. His initial reaction was one of contemplation, for he was a deity accustomed to challenges, both great and small. Yet this was different, a direct affront to the order he had long maintained. Was it folly, or were these twins truly a threat of unprecedented nature? Zeus pondered their audacity. A spark of divine curiosity mingled with concern as he considered the appropriate response. Among the other gods of Olympus, disbelief was rife. The concept that mere mortals, even giants of such considerable power, might storm the sacred precincts was one that found no immediate acceptance. Yet, beneath their initial scorn lay an undercurrent of unease, a recognition that the twins' resolve was, perhaps, not entirely without merit. The seeds of doubt scattered among them whispered of the potential truth behind the brash declaration. As the stage set for a cosmic clash drew nearer, the air around Olympus and Earth crackled with an unseen tension. Otis and Fialtes, undeterred and fearless, continued their preparations for this divine challenge. The mountain peaks seemed to watch silently, witnesses to the events soon to unfold. The scene was one of tranquility on the surface, yet beneath, the stirrings of epic battles to come were palpable, providing a prelude to the unfolding drama destined to echo through time. A new chapter awaited, where the determination of the twins would translate into action set to challenge the very fabric of the divine order. As twilight spread its golden and crimson hues over the ancient landscape, the Aloadae twins Otis and Fireplace stood at the foot of Mount Pelion, their eyes fixed on the grandeur of Olympus beyond. They had resolved to embark on an unprecedented journey, one that would see Earth transform under their titanic ambitions. Determined to reach the divine realm, not by divine favor but through sheer force, the brothers began an audacious project, constructing a colossal stairway from the peaks of two great mountains. Their plan was simple, yet audacious. Mount Pelion, with its ancient roots deeply embedded in the earth, would be lifted and set upon Mount Ossa, creating an unbroken ascent to the heavens. The first task was daunting, yet the twins attacked it with the raw power that had been their birthright. Working in harmonious unison, they uprooted Pelion from its resting place, leveraging their godlike strength. It seemed as though the earth itself groaned under the weight of their ambition. The path to Olympus was being carved, not by artisans of craft, but by forces of nature, ignorant of the rules imposed by the divine realm. And as Pelion was stacked firmly upon Ossa, the new edifice stood as a testament to their indomitable will, a bridge not just between mountains but between mortals and immortals. Witnessing such an act in the burgeoning twilight, the people of the lands were struck first by admiration and then by fear. The twins, formidable and resolute, became legends in their own time, giants who could command the mountains themselves. And with legend came trepidation. As whispers spread through villages and cities below, all turned to unease. Could these brothers, born of both divine and mortal lineage, really overthrow the gods and establish a new order? The wise among the earth's inhabitants, seers and prophets, sought to dissuade the twins. They warned of grave consequences that would surely follow their challenge. Enveloping them were vivid prophecies depicting impending ruin. Yet the twins, headstrong and resolute, pressed on. They dismissed the cautionary voices, deeming them mere echoes of mortal fear, a hindrance to the realization of their grandiose dreams. As this monumental work progressed, the tension among the gods in their celestial halls grew palpable. Looking down from Olympus, the gods watched with growing concern. Zeus himself, all-seeing and all-knowing, felt a storm brewing beneath the surface. The twins' actions had captured the attention of the heavens, and the king of the gods understood that mere observation would not suffice. He convened with Poseidon, seeking counsel in familial wisdom and urging the god of the sea to intervene. Thus, Poseidon faced a dilemma that no divine being could resolve easily. His paternal pride warred with his sacred duty to uphold the divine order. On one hand, he admired the boldness and strength of his son's endeavor, a testament to their lineage. On the other, there was an undeniable boundary that no mortal, divine parentage notwithstanding, should attempt to cross. Torn by duty and affection, Poseidon grappled with the weight of decision, caught between admiration and responsibility. Meanwhile, the natural world seemed to respond to the twins' progress. As they neared the forbidding boundaries of Olympus, the sky above began to darken slowly, casting deepened shadows across the earth. The whisper of clouds gathered on the horizon, like omens whispered among the immortals. Spring was shifting into summer, yet the air grew heavy with foreboding, matching the anxious watch of the divine assembly. The twins, however, remained undeterred. Their will was as unyielding as the mountains they manipulated, and their determination to see their destiny fulfilled shadowed any celestial threat. They envisioned a new Olympus, one reshaped through their command, where giants would sit among the gods. With each passing day, their labors echoed around them, fortifying their resolve, proclaiming loudly to all the heavens and earth their intended triumph. In the darkening gloom near Olympus, Otis and Ephialtes paused only to survey their progress as their monument rose, uniting heaven and earth. Yet as they worked, the seed of their downfall was unknowingly sown, underscoring that for every act of mortals aspiring to divinity, there lay an encroaching shadow cast by defiance of celestial sacrosanctity. The sky became laden with expectations, setting the stage for the gods' inevitable response to the audacious ascendance of the Aloadae twins, as nature's balance teetered on the verge of upheaval. In the grand halls of Olympus, a solemn assembly of the gods was convened under a sky glittering with stars. Silver pillars stood tall and majestic, framing a scene of divine gravitas. The gods gathered, summoned by the growing tumult caused by the Aloadae twins, Otis and Ephialtes. The air was thick with tension, each deity seated upon their resplendent throne, their expressions reflecting a mixture of concern and anticipation. Zeus, the mighty king of the gods, sat at the head of this divine council, his gaze steady yet troubled as he surveyed the assembly. The subject of the gathering was the audacious actions of the twins, who dared to challenge the very order of the cosmos by scaling the sacred heights of Olympus. The gods murmured among themselves, their discussions filled with both disbelief and a recognition of the very real threat posed by these colossal children of Poseidon. Zeus listened intently, his brow furrowing deeper with each suggestion and counter-argument tossed across the divine hall. Zeus, maintaining a composed visage, finally addressed his fellow deities. His voice, though calm, carried the weight of his authority and the gravity of the situation. "The boldness of Otis and Ephialtes cannot be ignored," he proclaimed. "Their intentions to breach Olympus must be met with strategy and strength. We must ensure divine order prevails." A hushed agreement passed through the hall as the gravity of the challenge became increasingly clear. Poseidon, god of the seas and father of the twins, sat quietly amidst the tumult of divine debate. His silence weighed heavily, reflecting the deep conflict that churned within him. Torn between his paternal instincts and his duties as a god, Poseidon's internal turmoil was palpable. The love for his sons battled against the understanding of the necessity to uphold the sanctity of the divine hierarchy. Zeus glanced towards him, recognizing the silent struggle in his brother's stern countenance. Among the vocal participants was Ares, the formidable god of war, who relished the thought of a confrontation. Battle-hardened and eager, Ares was quick to voice his desire for direct engagement with the impetuous twins. His suggestion resonated with some, those who favored strength as the ultimate solution, but it was met with caution by others who recognized the cunning that might be required. Ares's eagerness to engage was palpable, yet his approach was tempered by the wisdom of other divinities present. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategic warfare, stood up, her presence commanding attention. Her counsel was measured and insightful, advocating for a more calculated approach rather than sheer force. "We must remember," she advised, "that intellect can often outmaneuver brute strength. Let us not be hasty. Observe, plan, and only then act." Her words resonated through the chamber, offering a perspective that balanced Ares's yearning for combat. After much deliberation, a consensus was tentatively reached. The gods would monitor the twins closely, their actions watched like a hawk surveils its prey. The assembly agreed to remain vigilant, understanding the precariousness of the situation, while carefully crafting a plan to counteract the growing threat. There was an air of tentative unity among them, an acknowledgement of the need for preparation in the face of such audacity. Under the luminescent glow of the moon, the gods held a collective gaze towards the looming mountains, where the twins continued their relentless ascent. Their progress was now a cause for heightened concern, a slow unraveling that demanded careful observation and potent response. The gods, vested with immense power yet bound by the intricate tapestries of destiny and order, felt a quiet resignation as the stars bore witness to their anxious deliberations. As night enveloped Olympus, the divine gathering dispersed, its members carrying with them the tempered yet repressed unease, knowing full well the potential chaos the twins could unleash. Each god returned to their celestial domain, bearing the shared burden of the decisions to come, and the hope that wisdom and patience would guide Olympus through this storm of hubris. With a towering ambition still set on Olympus, the Aloadae twins pressed forward towards their goal, their monumental architecture nearly complete. Mountains of earth and stone, once separate and insurmountable, now intertwined under their hands, forming an imposing stairway aspiring to touch the realm of the gods. Each day brought them closer to the sacred peaks, as they exerted their might against the land itself, reshaping it to challenge the heavens. Ares, the indefatigable god of war, could no longer stand by as this mortal challenge to divine reign played out. Deciding upon direct action, he descended from his divine seat to intercept the twins, trusting in his battle-hardened instincts and prowess. His approach was one of menace and power, as he sought to dismantle their audacious plans through sheer force. The encounter that followed was fierce, a clash of strength that echoed across the world below. Despite his skill and might, Ares found himself outmaneuvered by the cunning and strength of the twins. Their colossal forms, endowed with a force akin to nature's own, proved formidable against the war god's aggressive tactics. The battle raged with intense fervor until, in a moment of tactical brilliance, the twins managed to ensnare Ares, binding him with unyielding chains. The gods were struck by the gravity of the situation, as the realization dawned that these giants were indeed a serious threat. The capture of Ares sent ripples of concern through the divine assembly on Olympus, who watched with a mixture of disbelief and grave concern. The captured war god stood as a stark testament to the twins' growing power and the potential upheaval they could bring to the divine order. As the gods deliberated over their next steps, Poseidon sat in silent conflict, torn between the burgeoning pride for his son's audacity and the sacred duty that bound him to the divine justice of all. Olympus. In the dim light of early dawn, as sunlight began to pierce through the clouds, Artemis, goddess of the hunt and cleverness, proposed a plan, subtly woven with cunning. She observed that further direct confrontation might not yield success. Instead, she suggested leveraging the twins' own hubris against them, setting a trap that would exploit their blind spots and overconfidence. Her words carried the weight of wisdom, and the gods listened intently, knowing that subtlety and strategy could hold the keys to preserving the divine order. Meanwhile, the situation on Olympus grew increasingly urgent. The gods, usually observing the events of mortals with aloof serenity, now strategized for quick responses, acknowledging the need for both force and cunning in this confrontation. Zeus, ever watchful, cast his gaze over the scheming twins, a silent promise of impending restitution for their defiance against the divine. The twins continued their relentless advance, unaware of the plans being hatched in the heavens above. Each of their steps shook the ground, their sights firmly fixed on reaching the pinnacle of Olympus. The atmosphere thickened with a sense of impending confrontation, carrying an air of chaos that threatened to unsettle the cosmic balance. Yet, within this brewing storm, Poseidon's conflict deepened. As thoughts of divine justice clashed with his paternal instincts, he stood torn between roles. His son's remarkable feats filled him with both fear and pride, placing him at an uncomfortable junction between ally and adversary. But the inexorable pull of divine duty weighed heavily, hinting at an inevitable reckoning. As the chapter closed, the twins' path continued to unfold with grim determination. The divine realm, vigilant and ready to act, awaited the unfolding drama with bated breath. The stage was set for larger confrontations, inviting the divine and mortal worlds to a crucial turning point, as the nature of power, ambition, and cosmic justice prepared to intertwine once more. As the sun began to set over the rugged peaks of Mount Ossa and Mount Pelion, the colossal figures of Otis and Fialtes stood in a rocky alcove, surveying the world they intended to rule. The crimson hues of sunset illuminated their towering forms, casting long shadows that stretched across the lands below. Here, they planned their ascent, confident in their ability to challenge the Olympian order. In the privacy of the alcove, the twins engaged in a candid dialogue, each reflecting on their shared ambition. Their voices, like distant thunder, rumbled with the certainty that true dominion belonged to those with unmatched strength. To Otis and Fialtes, the gods of Olympus merely maintained their lofty status through the habitual reverence of the weaker mortals. The twins believed their immense power made them worthy claimants to the celestial throne, intending to seize what they perceived as their rightful place in the divine hierarchy. Their confidence was not without foundation. Thus far, they had achieved feats that even stirred admiration among the mortal denizens of the earth. Each victory, from taming wild herds to harnessing the stubborn rivers, fueled their growing sense of invincibility. The twins recounted their triumphs, each accomplishment adding layers to their towering arrogance. Tales of their might spread like wildfire among mortals, some viewing them with awe, others with a trembling dread of what their unchecked might could unleash. As twilight deepened, Otis and Fialtes mused over the perceived shortcomings of their divine adversaries. What were these gods if not symbols, they argued, kept powerful only by fear and ancient tales? They ridiculed what they saw as the gods' apparent frailty, mocking Ares' capture as evidence of divine vulnerability. Their laughter echoed across the mountaintops, a sound that carried far, reverberating like a warning note against the silent structures of Olympus. Yet, unbeknownst to the twins, they were not alone in their secluded council. Hidden by an aura of discretion, Poseidon, the god of the seas and their father, observed them from a distance. This fatherly figure stood torn, deep within his tidal domain of emotions. The pride he felt for his son's strength conflicted with his commitment to maintaining universal order. As their boasts filled the air around him, a grim truth settled in his heart. A tragic destiny unwound by unbridled ambition awaited them. The twins' plans continued to grow more intricate and grandiose, fueled by dreams of celestial rule. In their minds, they envisioned a new era, one where they sat as sovereign deities, directing the flow of the cosmos. These dreams drove them to devise schemes for reshaping the heavens themselves, drawing constellations of a world beyond mortal imagination. Such unchecked ambition, however, began to craft the elaborate framework of a trap, laid unwittingly by their own hands. As the eve prepared to surrender to the night, the twins basked in visions of divine conquest. Yet beneath their growing certainty, unseen ripples of an opposing force were at play. The gods, wise and strategic, capitalized on the twins' overconfidence with a plan that would turn their arrogance against them. In this serene yet ominous twilight, the twins stood unknowingly at the brink of their own undoing. In the calm halls of Olympus, tension simmered beneath the surface as the gods convened once more. Countless deliberations had yet to yield a plan to deal with the audacious Aloadae twins, whose hubris had grown alongside their monumental ambitions. Aware of the daunting strength of Otis and Fialtes, the celestial assembly turned to the wisdom of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. She proposed a strategy grounded not in sheer force but in cunning, aiming to exploit the very overconfidence that drove the twins toward their downfall. Her gaze steady and resolute, Artemis revealed her insightful plan, one whispered among select members of the Divine Council who were chosen for their sagacity and foresight. The scheme revolved around transforming the twins' bold emotions from a sword into their own shackles. Artemis proposed to weave deception using their hunters' instincts as bait, an approach requiring subtlety and art. As her plan unfolded, the gods recognized the profound necessity of cunning over brute strength. Their approval, though reluctant initially, became unanimous, as they saw the promise of turning the twins' strengths against them. With trust vested in Artemis's resourcefulness, the first tendrils of the plan took shape against the canvas of ancient Greece's mythical landscape. To set her strategy into motion, Artemis adopted the guise of a divine stag. Within the realm of myth, such a creature possessed an ethereal beauty known to captivate the hearts and souls of even the most tenacious hunters. Its majestic form, shimmering beneath the moonlit night, became the centerpiece of Artemis's ingenious ruse. As she descended from Olympus, the goddess moved with deliberate grace, each step a calculated measure in the choreography of cosmic deception. Her form was a living mirage of moonlight silver, cast against the lush emerald shadows of the forest below. Unbeknownst to the Aloadae, their path intersected with the shimmering illusion of Artemis's stag. The sight bewitched them, tapping into their deepest instincts and aspirations. The twins, mighty as they were, found themselves compelled, consumed by a single, overpowering desire to capture this elusive quarry. Their hearts, so used to the beat of conquest, thrummed with an eager rhythm as they set off in pursuit. The chase called them forward into the thick, enigmatic heart of the forest, where creature and shadow wove a harmonious dance under the stars. As the chase unfolded, the twins entered a trance-like pursuit. Nature's symphony around them faded into a muted backdrop, their entire being focused on the gilded apparition leading them through the labyrinthine woods. Their pursuit was relentless, each of their giant strides a resolute declaration against the shrouded silence. Yet with every moment, the stag danced just out of reach, a mere whisper away. Or so it seemed. It was here that Artemis's plan began to weave its enchantment, guiding the twins into a state of frenzy, much like moths drawn to an irresistible flame. The gods above watched with a patient gaze, subtly adding to the illusion's magic. The enchantment lay not in the stag's form alone, but also in its ability to evoke the core of the twins' very nature. Every twist and turn through the forest was orchestrated, leaving the twins increasingly reckless as they threw caution to the wind. Their pursuit, driven by hubris, transformed into a frenetic ballet of frustration and resolve, with neither aware of the intricate web entrapping them. Thus, the deception of Artemis started to unravel its full potential. The forest itself seemed to sway with divine influence, the leaves whispering secrets in the wind, as though cheering on their companion from Olympus. As the twins delved deeper into this enchanted maze, their focus remained tethered on the prize, oblivious to the shadows of their own folly gathering at their heels. They drove themselves beyond mortal endurance in their quest to seize that which was always intended to lure them into defeat. With every passing moment, the gods' manipulation brought the twins closer to the brink of destiny. Their relentless pursuit under the moonlit sky appeared tireless, yet it was bound to an unseen hand, shaping their path toward irrevocable confrontation with their own pride. In this captivating dance between power and perception, Artemis's cunning embraced its full form, setting the stage for what was yet to come. As the emerald forest stood silent, save for the muffled sound of the twins' impetuous hunt, unseen forces guided Otis and Fireplace toward a culmination of celestial gamesmanship. The shimmering stag, Artemis's geese, continued to mesmerize, leading to a point where the seeds of hubristic folly found fertile ground. Rooted in their belief that strength could best any strategy, the twins hastened in their chase, unaware of the critical junction their heedless strides approached. Thus, the stage was set for the divine plan to sweep its final act into play, maneuvering the giants toward an unforeseen reckoning. In the dim shadows of the pre-dawn hours, the Aloadae twins, Otis and Fireplace, pursued the illusory stag that bounded elegantly through the dense forest near the base of Olympus. The air was thick with forest mist, the heavy silence interrupted only by the sound of the twins' powerful strides. Despite the twins' immense strength, the stag, shimmering with an otherworldly glow, always managed to stay just ahead, kindling the embers of their relentless determination and untamed ambition. This chase was not merely physical. It was a test crafted by the gods, a trial of the twins' blinding hubris. With every mighty stride, Artemis, in the form of the stag, led them further into the gods' intricate web. She drew them away from the beaten path into a realm where direction was dictated not by desire, but by deception. The gods manipulated the forest's echoes and shadows, fabricating the illusion of a tangible victory just out of reach. As the mighty giants plunged deeper into the forest, the mood began to subtly shift. The realization stirred uncomfortably within them, a whisper that the chase might be more than it seemed. Yet their ambition and desire to prove their supremacy over the divine drowned out this small voice of doubt. They charged onwards, eyes fixed on the mirage before them, unaware of how deeply they were enmeshed in the celestial snare. Artemis, with her agile steps and strategic mind, ensured that the twins remained locked in their chase. She manipulated the hunt with skill and precision, leading them through thickets and over winding paths, always maintaining an ethereal distance. It was a crafted dance, an assemblage of orchestrations that kept the twins engrossed, each step calculated to reflect their obsession back upon them. In the clearing ahead, the tableau for their final undoing awaited. The forest opened unexpectedly into a small glade shrouded in a tense, almost palpable silence. As light filtered through the branches, the ethereal stag paused in the middle of this clearing, casting an inviting, almost taunting gaze back at its pursuers. Invigorated by the apparent culmination of their pursuit, the twins drew their bows, each believing the prized creature was now within their grasp. As they prepared for what they believed would be their moment of triumph, the atmosphere tightened. The quiet of the glade, tinged with a sense of foreboding, seemed to hold its breath. In their eagerness and pride, Otis and Fireplace failed to notice how they aligned themselves, a fatal flaw born from their overconfidence. Driven by the need to claim the stag, they let loose their arrows, each flying with a single-minded purpose. The impending consequence struck like an echo of their own voices, unheard until the moment of release. The arrows arching through the air did not find the stag. Instead, they met their marks in each other, a tragic revelation too late for any intervention. In a single heart-stopping instant, the twins realized their mistake, their mighty frames collapsing to the forest floor as the grand illusion unraveled around them. The serene silence reclaimed the clearing as the stag, no longer real, faded like smoke in the morning light. Artemis, observing from afar, knew her task was complete. The ambitious echo of the Aloadae's ascent was silenced by their own unchecked ambition, a poignant testament to the perils of hubris. The forest bore witness to the lesson forged from their fall, a tale that would resonate through the ages as both a caution and a memory. Guiding the day's first light, the promise of resolution lay heavy on the horizon. The gods, in their infinitude, had played their hand with care, restoring balance through the twins' folly. This gentle unraveling of unchecked ambition would serve as a beacon of wisdom for future generations. As the light began to break, it signaled not only dawn but the approach of divine retribution, the final act in this celestial narrative. The dawn broke gently over the isolated forest clearing, painting the world in hues of fiery orange and honey gold. The moment that had unfolded here was a testament to the fragility of hubris and the delicate balance of fate. Otis and Fireplace, the towering Aloadae twins, lay fallen on the dewy forest floor. Their grand pursuit of Olympus had reached its dramatic and unintended conclusion. In a tragic twist of destiny, the twins' arrows, meant for the illusory stag conjured by Artemis, had found each other instead. The silence that ensued was profound, as if the world held its breath in the wake of the catastrophic culmination. The shock of their mistaken attack registered slowly in the giants' minds, piercing through the arrogance that had once buoyed their reckless ambition. The pain was not merely physical, but a deeper, existential awareness of their failed challenge against the divine order. It was a moment of stark vulnerability, a poignant end to their formidable and ill-fated journey. From the heights of Olympus, the gods watched the scene unfold with a solemn, impenetrable silence. Each deity, struck by the sight of the mighty twins brought low by their own hubris, reflected on the unassailable wisdom and justice of the divine order. Artemis, having completed her subtle orchestration, shed the guise of the divine stag. Her form flickered momentarily, settling into her true self, a figure of ethereal elegance and astute cunning, satisfied in the certainty that balance had been restored through her hand. Amidst the gods, Zeus stood with an air of resolute authority. He spoke not with fury, but with the weight of ancient wisdom. His words, though softly uttered, reverberated through the expanse of the heavens. "Let the folly of hubris be a lesson observed by all," he pronounced, underscoring the principles that safeguarded the cosmos from chaos and dissent. With his proclamation, the finality of divine justice settled over the scene, providing a solemn clarity amidst the tragedy. Far below Poseidon, the twins' father and ruler of the seas was confronted with a tide of conflicting emotions. The father in him mourned his son's fate, while the god within understood the necessary enforcement of divine laws. Resigned to the reality of their demise, Poseidon wrestled with his own role in their journey, a fatherly pride overshadowed by the stark realization of their transgressions against Olympus. It was a poignant reminder of the potent mix of power and humility that maintained the universe's equilibrium. In that pivotal instant, the earth itself responded to the restoration of order. A shudder rippled through the ground, an echo of the return to cosmic balance. The disturbance was subtle, yet powerful, an affirmation of the gods' role in the world above and below. As if acknowledging the sanctity of this act, the firelight from Olympus flickered warmly, casting a golden hue over the heavens, a beacon of restored harmony that whispered to all creatures of the united divine will. In the wake of this momentous event, the realms of both gods and mortals stood at the cusp of reflection. The story of the twins and their audacious attempt to dethrone the gods would become a parable whispered across the lands, a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition. The gods, too, would take pause to consider their roles in encouraging or curbing such desires among mortals, and, indeed, within their ranks. This gentle turn of events had reaffirmed the enduring wisdom that held the tapestry of life together. As the rays of the sun tipped over the horizon, the scene remained anchored in the poignant stillness of post-reckoning calm. The crumpled forms of Otis and Ephialtes lay as tacit reminders of the journey's end, their legacy etched into the annals of myth. The divine fires glowing from Olympus spoke to the re-establishment of peace, a gentle world now in balance under the watchful eyes of its celestial guardians. The dawn lingered over the clearing, cloaked in an aura of quiet reflection. Olympus stood prominent in the background, a guardian over the earth, as it always had been and would continue to be. The silent forest had borne witness to a profound lesson, a testament to the underlying order that spanned the cosmos, whispered through the rustling leaves and warm sunlit glow. As calm descended, it was a promise fulfilled and a wisdom acknowledged, a mighty reassurance woven into the fabric of existence. As dawn lightened the horizon and peace settled over Olympus, the story of Otis and of Fireplace began to ripple through the layers of mortal civilization. In small villages across the Hellenic landscape, gatherings formed around fires crackling beneath the clear autumn sky. Storytellers, with their voices rich and textured, recounted the tale of the formidable twins, weaving together narratives of ambition and retribution, of strength overreaching itself and the hubris that led to inevitable downfall. These stories took on a life of their own, serving as both cautionary tales and symbols of the immutable order upheld by the gods. This narrative became more than just history. It transformed into a moral lesson that mortals would hold close. The tale of the Aloadae twins was not just about their size and strength, but their profound misunderstanding of what it truly meant to be divine. Words spoken around those fires warned of the dangers of ambition unchecked by wisdom, echoing that strength untempered by humility carries with it the seeds of destruction. This sowed a renewed respect for the cosmos's hierarchy, reinforcing the perceived distance between mortal aspirations and divine reality. Across Greece, there spread an attentive deference towards the gods, enhanced by the vivid images of their dominance and fairness. Where once mortals may have only worshipped out of tradition, stories of the Twins Hubris ignited genuine reverence, a reflection not just of fear, but of awe in the face of the gods' magnanimity and justice. The tale painted a clear picture for all who heard it. The divine order was not one to be challenged lightly. In the celestial halls of Olympus, Athena reflected thoughtfully on the mythic drama that had unfolded. Known for her wisdom, she articulated insights about balance and humility, lessons not only for mortals, but gods. To walk the path of wisdom was to understand one's place within the grand design, a position requiring an awareness of limits and an acceptance of the cosmic balance. She pondered the delicate equilibrium that maintained the fabric of the universe and its inhabitants, noting that the twins' narrative now acted as a cautionary signpost for those who might tread a similar path. Meanwhile, Poseidon contemplated in silence, his heart heavy with the weight of what had transpired. The horizon stretched endlessly in his mind's eye, revealing the divine hierarchies that transcended personal bonds. His son's defiant stand served as a poignant reminder of the vast forces that transcended paternal pride and loyalty. Their story underscored a painful, yet essential truth: individual ambitions, especially those unchecked by the wisdom of the divine, could upset the delicate balance, bringing ruin instead of glory. Poseidon understood that even the gods had their place in the cosmos, just as much as mortals did. The tale of the Aloadae touched on ancient myths of similar giants who dared to reach for heavens beyond their grasp, a litany of lessons spanning generations. It became a staple in the oral traditions of not only Greece, but the wider world, echoing through time as a living testament to the boundaries set forth by the cosmos. Much like these legends of old, the fall of Otis and Fireplace contributed to the tapestry of warning stories that taught respect for divine order and humility in the face of greater forces. Back in Olympus, the collective sigh of relief was palpable as balance returned. The twins' narrative, now a part of lore, had underscored once again the supreme power and watchful eyes of the gods. Peace, it seemed, could settle once more upon the terrain of human intertwining the divine order, as boundaries were reaffirmed both by deities and mortals. The wisdom gained from these events began to mend subtle rifts, healing breaches, and blending lessons into the relationships that governed the realms. As fires dimmed in the villages below and lent their glow to the starlit sky above, the circle of listeners would disperse mindful of what they had heard. They carried with them a deeper appreciation of the divine tapestry woven into the very fabric of their lives. Amidst the serenity, it was evident that the story of the Aloadae twins, though ending in their tragic demise, was a reminder of resilience, a testament to the ceiling upon which mortal ambition must rest. One could sense that, in knowing these truths, mortals felt more aligned with the harmony echoed throughout the universe. It was in this reflective acknowledgement of innate boundaries that the cosmos regained its equilibrium, announcing a serene harmony that pulsed gently across realms, both seen and unseen. As the echoes of the Aloadae twins' downfall faded into the annals of myth, the gods of Olympus gathered in the celestial amphitheater. With the serene azure sky above and the opalescent glow of the Olympian heights surrounding them, an air of quiet introspection enveloped the assembly. It was a time for the divine to reflect on their roles in the shaping of the cosmos and the implications of recent events. The gods began to deliberate on the shared responsibilities that had sparked the twins' ambition. Hera, in her dignified voice, pondered aloud how the divine nature of their existence could often incite envy and audacity among mortals. She suggested that, perhaps unknowingly, the majesty and power of Olympus could serve as a powerful lure for those seeking more than what was allotted to them by fate. Other gods nodded in agreement, recognizing their own grandeur as both a gift and a potential threat to balance. Poseidon, the father of the giant twins, rose to offer his insights. He spoke of the enduring conflict between his paternal instincts and his responsibilities to maintain the divine order. His son's ambition, rooted deeply in their desire to dominate the heavens, had left him with profound reflections. He acknowledged that divine law must prevail over personal desires, a lesson hard learned through the necessary defeat of Otis and Ephialtes. His words resonated, highlighting the eternal struggle between personal bonds and the greater cosmic good. Zeus, the king of the gods, reaffirmed the foundational tenets that safeguarded their divine order. He reminded the assembly that Olympus stood undisturbed for eons due to principles of respect, justice, and adherence to destiny. The events with the twins served as a solemn reminder of the importance of vigilance in upholding these ideals. It was a gentle but firm reassurance that while the gods were mighty, so too was their responsibility to wield such power with wisdom and restraint. Apollo, with an air of contemplative grace, mused on the delicate balance between greatness and the shackles of hubris. His insights echoed through the amphitheater, provoking thought on the thin line between divine aspiration and arrogance. The collective experiences of the gods with the Aloadae twins had shown that unchecked ambition might force even the divine to confront uncomfortable truths. Apollo's words emphasized the need for humility not only among mortals, but within their immortal halls as well. Artemis, standing acknowledged for her pivotal role in the resolution of the twins' threat, received praise for her insight and effectiveness. Her cunning strategy had turned the twins' hubris against them, restoring order with minimal chaos. The gods offered commendations, grateful for the reminder that intellect and strategy often achieve what brute force cannot. Artemis's victory was not one of might, but of wisdom, a testament to her resourcefulness and her understanding of the human and divine nature. As discussions continued, the gods collectively acknowledged their vulnerabilities and strengths. This shared momentum of understanding created an atmosphere of unity. There was a quiet agreement that while individual might and strategy were important, it was their collective wisdom that had ensured the preservation of Olympus. The gods realized that acknowledging their limitations was essential in fortifying their strength against future challenges. Diplomacy and wisdom were underscored as virtues to be cultivated alongside power. They noted that everlasting peace depended on their ability to work together, transcending the occasional divisions that had marked their interactions. Such unity fortified the divine realm against arrogance and dissent, much like the tale recently concluded. As the assembly drew to a close, the gods felt the lingering essence of unity and peace undergirding Olympus like never before. The atmosphere was harmonious, reflecting mutual understanding and a more profound appreciation for their intertwined destinies. The conversations that had commenced with reflections on responsibility concluded with a shared vision for future harmony, ensuring that the lessons of the past would guide both divine and mortal realms toward a mutually reinforcing peace. The gods departed from the celestial amphitheater under a sparklingly clear sky, each carrying with them the assurance of cosmic order restored and strengthened. The wise reflections imbued the sacred peaks of Olympus with a renewed sense of purpose, a tranquil promise of balance and harmony echoing in every corner of the heavens. In the wake of the tumultuous conflict between the ambitious Aloadae twins and the divine Olympians, a tranquil change spread across the realms. The divine archways, once filled with the echoes of discussion and strategy, now welcomed angelic breezes that swept through both land and sea, heralding a newfound peace. This calming influence flowed smoothly, as if a gentle stream had been released to cleanse and soothe all it touched, signaling the return to a more harmonious era. Upon Earth, mortals awoke to an unprecedented calm. The chaos that once unraveled their days gave way to a comforting resonance of divine order, a palpable reminder of the balance restored by the gods. The air itself seemed infused with serenity, encouraging even the most fretful hearts to slow their restless beats. Communities gathered under clear skies, their spirits unified, and whispered stories of the giants Otis and Fireplace, now woven into their shared history as a reminder of ambition's bounds. Nature, too, appeared to bask in the beneficence of divine touch. The landscapes, previously strained and unforgiving, seemed now to unfurl in vibrant renewal. Trees bore lush canopies, fields rippled with rejuvenated greenery, and flowers blossomed in vivid carpets of color, each petal a testament to the nurturing peace bestowed upon them. Sacred animals, symbols of serenity and balance, emerged from previously hidden enclaves, carrying with them an aura of tranquility that embraced the earth like a gentle lullaby. Over the vast seas, Poseidon's gaze turned gentle and contemplative. The waters, which once mirrored the turmoil of his son's uprising, now calmed under his sovereign watch. Waves moved rhythmically, whispering the sagas of time in a quiet cadence that harmonized with the heartbeat of the world, resonant with the depths of wisdom gathered by the venerable seas. The deep blues and greens glistened under the sunlight, offering a mirrored reflection of peace unfurled across the heavens and earth. In commemoration of the lesson learned from the twins' audacious misstep, Zeus declared a sacred holiday to etch the memory of hubris into the annals of time. The holiday served not as a celebration of triumph, but as a thoughtful reminder of the peril in overstepping the respectful bounds set by cosmic order. Throughout Greece, people prepared offerings and heartfelt dedications, a collective penance for human ambition that mirrored the twins' own disastrous desires. Unified in this sacred observance, mortals from scattered cities and remote villages journeyed into clearings and holy sites, their offerings made in gestures of reverence and gratitude. The air on this day swelled with sounds of melody and cheer, as dancing feet tapped harmonious rhythms upon the earth. The shared realization that wisdom had spoken through silence fortified their conviction in gods who now joined them in a serene coexistence. Through this extended celebration, an overarching sense of peaceful, balanced coexistence softened the hearts and minds of all, gradually replacing uncertainty with an abiding confidence in their divine order. This serene restoration engendered renewed hope, compelling even seasoned skeptics to acknowledge the gentle equilibrium between mortal existence and divine guidance. This new path, carved by the remembrance of ancient lessons, encouraged pensive reflections upon the restored order. As heavenly light diffused gently through the cosmos, it hinted at a broader tapestry woven with the light of wisdom and the threads of myth. Mortals, embracing this light, understood the fragility and power of harmony as stewards of a world graced by the Olympians' unseen yet deeply felt presence. United in this equilibrium, the atmosphere shifted over Greece and Olympus alike. With the landscapes placid and the waters peaceful, a harmony forged by shared understanding prevailed across the cosmos. As the golden hues of sunset tinged the sky, a soothing essence blanketed the world, whispering promises of a future enriched by remembered lessons and divine grace. The stars cast a gentle light over the ancient sacred grove, their ethereal glow reflecting upon the eternal flame flickering softly upon the temple altar. This flame, a symbol of enduring wisdom, flickered gently, transcending the confines of time, a testament to the profound truths of the cosmos. In this hallowed space, humanity has long sought to understand the divine lessons imparted by the myths, the stories of gods and mortals intertwined across the ages. The tale of the Aloadae twins stands as a poignant reminder of the mortal grasp for greatness, urging generations to heed the warnings against unchecked ambition. Reverent followers gathered to honor these lessons, acknowledging the thin line between bold aspiration and destructive hubris. As time unfolded, this story became a cornerstone of cultural reflection, illustrating the consequences of defiance and the importance of recognizing one's place within the cosmic order. Through the erosion of centuries, societies have clung to the moral embedded within the myth, a call to humility and understanding. The Aloadae's ambition, while extraordinary, ultimately succumbed to the timeless justice that governs all. Communities throughout Greece and beyond retold this story, infusing daily life with cautionary wisdom. The narrative painted vivid pictures in the minds of children at bedtime, weaving tales that both inspired and sobered their dreams. In these stories, humanity witnessed the indomitable virtue of resilience, inspired by the Olympians who championed the cause of harmony. The gods' unwavering resolve to maintain balance became a beacon to those who faced formidable trials, driving them to rise above misfortune with grace and perseverance. Across rustic villages and bustling city-states, the people internalized this divine precedent, allowing it to guide their endeavors and aspirations. The spiral of cultural narratives shaped the virtues that civilizations held dear, underpinning principles that defined societies. In the shadows of towering columns and under the watch of ancient philosophers, this myth contributed to the formation of ethical systems and forged a bridge between human experience and the divine. Through the cadence of song and the rhythm of spoken word, the Aloadae story sculpted values that endured the vicissitudes of time. Communities and individuals alike gleaned lessons of divine justice, each tale echoing the idea that balance is paramount. Festivals in honor of this myth dotted the calendar, where dances and sacrifices expressed gratitude for the equilibrium painstakingly preserved by the gods' wisdom. In places where once there was discord, now there stood gratitude, acknowledging the intricate dance of destiny guided by divine insight. Enscripts of thanksgiving became rituals punctuating the rhythms of life, anchoring communities in a narrative of appreciation and humility. These practices, passed from generation to generation, served as a tapestry of continuous reflection. They heralded both the endurance of the gods' favor and the ongoing responsibility of mortals to tread with mindfulness upon the path of life. Even as centuries unfurled, the mythical insights rippled forward, weaving through the cultural and personal tapestries of societies. The younger generations, captivated by creative retellings, found themselves rehearsing the myth's lessons, ensuring that the essence of caution and deference never faded from collective consciousness. Artists and scholars alike drew inspiration from these stories, epitomizing the inexhaustible resource of wisdom and beauty contained within them. As the eternal flame's flicker reached upward toward the heavens, it symbolized the unity of past, present, and future, a glowing thread threading through epochs of myth and history. This abiding beacon of cosmic fidelity, echoing across time, affirmed the immutable nature of the divine order. It resonated quietly, imparting a serene assurance that, despite the passage of millennia, the harmony between the mortal and the divine would remain steadfast. With tranquility draping the cosmos, the land reclined in peaceful equilibrium, braced by the rich narratives that continue to illuminate humanity's path. In this calm assurance, the myth of the Aloadae endured, promising that the lessons carried across time would guide both the world and its stories into harmonious futures yet to unfold.